it's been a hell of a couple games from the Florida Gators, right? It's been a hell of a couple games, and we're gonna touch on that, right? So on the board, as you can see, we're gonna talk them Gators boys stay hot in regards to UF basketball. Arkansas, a SEC school, I don't usually talk much about, but John Calipari's doing some things, right? They got a big commitment. Let's dive into that a little bit. On3 released their top quarterbacks of 2026 going into the next season. I got some thoughts on that. There's a coach upset. There's a coach upset with what a media member, said about him or maybe lack of. So we'll dive into that and see if it's accurate, right? If it's accurate. And not to mention, we are doing a new series. I'm calling it The Wheel. It's a fan base check-in, right? I'll dive more into that as we get closer to that time frame. But let's dive into it, man. Let's dive into them Florida boys stay hot, right? Them Gator boys stay hot, coming off a great win versus South Carolina yesterday. Even though they didn't cover the spread, I won't fault them for it. I won't fault them at all for it. But you're right. They took care of the business, right? BTA another win versus the South Carolina Gamecocks, and it's kind of drawing the question: is this Gator team real or fake, right? Is what they're doing right now is it giving them momentum heading into March Madness, heading into SEC play, right? Because as we head into SEC play, we're the one team now. We have a big game versus Kentucky to end the season. It's probably going to be a SEC championship rematch, most likely. Can they ride this momentum and keep it going into SEC play, into March Madness, right? So we'll talk about that. The Gator boys, right? Listen, this is a team that continues to prove that they're going to crash the boards. They're going to get the rebounds. Nobody in the country is going to out-rebound them, out-aggressive, out-physical them, right? Todd Golden got these boys playing. And not to mention Todd Golden, right? Todd Golden is a coach that is in Bobby Knight territory if he can win another national championship, because he will be one of only a handful of guys to win 2 natties under 40, right? Todd Golden is doing his thing for the Gators, right? And you talk about these next upcoming games we got. It's a fairly light schedule. Listen, I'm not here to get it twisted. It's a fairly light schedule, right? There's Ole Miss, right? There's Mississippi. There's Ole Miss and there's Texas. Then we got Arkansas, Mississippi State, right? And then that big game versus Kentucky to end the seed, right? So even with all this momentum, this was a team that kind of started slow throughout the stretch. Chris, I hope it pains you to death, Chris. I hope it pains you to death. Them Gator boys stay hot. So even though this is a team that is really playing its best ball where it needs to be, right? Their ceiling, even when you talk about the tournament, is probably the 2 seed if they can even get to that, right? With that being said, I think their floor is the 3 seed. I don't think they're going to drop lower than the 3 seed in whatever bracket we get into, right? So we're going to get some favorable matchups when we get to tournament play, right? Again, the ceiling's the 2 seed. Their floor is the 3 seed, right? No, regardless of what happens going forward, right? So now that begs the question: can they repeat? Which is what everybody's talking about nowadays. Can the Gator boys repeat? This is a new Gator team. This is a Gator team that came in with national championship expectations based on how they did last year, and a lot of guys we got returning, this year, right? Some guys that are playing well right now. Ruben Chalelu playing well. Alex Condon, congrats, my man. 1,000K club, right? Tommy Howell, right? These are guys in regards to our front court that is playing really well right now, and we're going to need them to keep playing well because that's what's going to win when we get into championship play, right? This is a team that's they're gritty, they're rough, they're rugged, right? They're ready for that smoke, and they're here for it, and I can appreciate that. Listen, we haven't seen much of it on the football side of things, right? So I can appreciate that. At least I have one Gator team, that's symbolizing, dragging somebody into the swamp and only Gators get out alive, right? I love how this team is playing. I love how they're crashing the boards, and Tommy Conn is really doing his thing right now. Xavier Lee, right, the guard we got from Princeton, him and Boogs are doing their thing, right? Now, granted, nothing crazy yesterday, right? But him and Boogs are doing their thing, and you're going to need guard play heading into these tournaments, right? A couple weeks ago, I touched on Nebraska, right? They're riding a 20-game win streak going into Michigan. My fear for Nebraska was the youth, the inexperience, and are those guards going to be able to really take over when needed, right? Translate that to Florida basketball, and we're seeing the chemistry between Xavier Lee and Books as well too, right? Something that they kind of started off slow at the beginning of the year. Again, we lost 4 out of our first 10 or 11 games, right? Riding off last year's expectations, but now these guys are playing the way they need to be playing. Now things are starting to peak, and as I said, Coach Golden really is having this team playing his best ball, right? Now, can the boys from the swamp do it again? That's going to be the question. That's what a lot of people are going to be wondering about this Gator team going forward. I'm excited to see, but them Gator boys stay hot. Part 2, them Gator boys stay hot, and I'm excited to see what it looks like for them going down the stretch.